It's Saturday, December 19th, and today I want to talk about a little bit about another day that might live in infamy. And that day is January 5th, 2021. That's the day that there will be a runoff for senatorial seats in the state of Georgia. It's very unusual that two senators from the same state are up for re-election on the same day. But it happens that Senator Perdue is up in his natural day of re-election, while Kelly Loeffler, who was appointed to fill out the term of the previous senator, she comes up for re-election because she was an appointed official and isn't serving out the full term of the previous senator. Anyhow, this election, this runoff is extremely important because right now in the Senate, the Republicans control 50 seats and the Democrats control less than 50 seats. They control two less. So in order to have a majority, a sneaky majority, the Democrats need to win both of these seats. Why do I call it a sneaky majority? Because both parties will have 50 senators on their side, and the majority will be broken by the vice president, who in this case would be Kamala Harris. But it's a very important election because Biden's first term is dependent upon having the strength, the political strength to get things done. And if the Senate remains in the hands of the Republicans, it will be exceedingly difficult to get things done. I have faith that he will get things done, but he will not have the full power of the government behind him. So while the election date is January 5th, 2021, early voting has started. So people are actually able to vote in person and they can mail in their vote. So it could take several days after January 5th for the official votes to be tallied and announced. So here's a little background on the candidates. David Perdue, the senator, is a very wealthy businessman and is actually under investigation for using inside information from the committees that he was on to invest in companies when he knew that the government was going to approve contracts, etc., etc., etc. So he made a lot of money. Right now he's under investigation. Jon Ossoff is a documentary filmmaker. He was the Democratic candidate in 2017 in a special election for Congress, but he lost that election, and he has never served in public office. But he is very good. He is so good with respect to stating the issues that Perdue refused to debate him the second time because the first time he got his ass kicked. Now, in the other election, we have the appointed Senator Kelly Loeffler versus Raphael Warnock. Now, Loeffler is the wife of a very rich man who is a head of the New York Stock Exchange. And she is a Trump loyalist, but she has never won an election. He has never won any election. And Ralph Warnock, who was 51 years old and the well-known minister of the Black Church in Atlanta, where Reverend Martin Luther King used to preach. He's getting a lot of attention from both sides, and there have been many remarks about his previous associations with radicals from the left. And he has made some anti-Jewish and anti-Israel remarks also that have been brought up during the election. So it's going to be a close election, I think, on both sides, because the reason they're having this election is because neither one of these people was able to get 50% of the vote. And that's the law in Georgia. You must get at least 50% of the vote to win the election. So both Democratic candidates have aligned themselves with Biden and his policies. And of course, the Republican candidates have aligned themselves with Trump and his policies. And Georgia is a state that is purple right now. It's a deep purple. It's the first time in like 30 years or something that they voted for a Democrat in the presidential race. So times are changing in Georgia, but have they changed enough to give both of these Democratic candidates a victory? We don't know. Time will tell. So if both the Democratic candidates win, then Minority Leader Chuck Schumer would probably become the majority leader of the Senate. And Vice President Kamala Harris would always be the deciding vote because it would be 50-50. But that doesn't mean there's a sure victory, because the minority in the Senate still has a lot of significant power, because any senator can block legislation by filibustering it. And that would require 60 votes to overcome the filibuster. And at their best, the Democrats will have 51 votes with Harris. But if they lose one or both Georgia Senate seats, the Republicans will keep the majority. And in my opinion, if the Republicans keep the majority, that means the most evil man in government, Mitch McConnell, will still have a lot of power. So I'm in favor of the Democrats winning this thing just to get McConnell out of power. It's going to be a tough race. Georgia is still a Republican-leaning state, and Republican Senate candidates got more votes than Democratic candidates in November. In fact, Perdue got 88,000 more votes than Ossoff. So I don't know if Ossoff can overcome that. And Ossoff received the most votes of any Democratic candidate in recent memory. And then many feel that Georgia is a state that wants Republican senators. So it's going to be a very difficult task for the Democrats to win both seats. But who knows? Who knows? Strange things happen in politics. Quite possible that the Democrats could pull it off because since the election in November, there are many people young people in Georgia who have turned 18 and can now vote, and they didn't vote in November. I don't know if there's 88,000 of them, but who knows? Anyhow, the state of Georgia is changing. I don't know if it's changed enough this year, but I think in the future it's going to change more. One last thing. Trump's refusal to concede has put a crimp in what Perdue or Loeffler can say to the base, to the voting population. They can't admit that Georgia stands between a Republican Washington and a Democratic Washington, because by saying that if they lose, there'll be a Democratic Washington, and Trump hasn't conceded yet, that may turn off a lot of his loyal voters. And they need those loyal voters to win the election. So that's all I have to say for now, and I'll see you in the morning. Bye.